Greetings and salutations, ladies and gentlemen. It's great to be back with you. I'm Uncle Bobby B. This is the MLW Rewind. Normally, I've got my podcast life partner, George McKay, with me. He is unavailable today. That's who he is. He's unavailable today. So I've got his seed, his firstborn. I've got the many host. It's Cassie. She will be joining me today. Cassie, how are you?
I'm good. Hi.
Excellent. Excellent. And also joining us, we're just elated to have him. He is MLW's newest rookie sensation. He stands 5'11" tall, weighing in at 240 pounds. He is a member of American Top Team. He is a multi-sport athlete. He is the master of the suplex. Of course, I'm talking about the Suplex Assassin, Alex Kane. Alex, thank you so much for joining us.
Yo, that introduction might rival George's. It might rival it just a little bit.
I'm gonna tell him that.
Oh, great!
Please do.
Now I'm gonna have heat with George now. Amazing. Well, man, it's great to have you. And we were just chatting before. You just wrestled at PCW Ultra last week against the MLW heavyweight champion Alexander Hammerstone. How was that? Because I couldn't find any footage of it besides a couple fan clips.
Yeah, so I think it should be, hopefully it's up in like a week or so. It was a really fun and challenging match. To be able to go like one-on-one with the MLW heavyweight champion and hold my own. And from what I can hear from like the PCW office, like that match was like his hardest, like his biggest challenge. So it's pretty awesome to come in and do that.
No kidding. I mean, you've really burst on the scene, kind of similar to we saw Clavin Tankman do, and you've just been kicking ass and taking names, just being yourself, and that is Alex Kane doing whatever the F he wants to do. I'm sparing you many hosts because I know your young ears and stuff. Not that you don't hear it from your dad.
Cover your ears.
Alex, I hear it from freaking my dad all the time.
Oh, now I'm gonna have even more heat with your dad.
No heat. It needs to be normalized.
I'm looking forward to seeing that match with Hammerstone. And I believe Joseph Samael posted a picture of just the crowd at that PCW Ultra show, and it was packed.
I think it was like 800 plus or something like that.
Like for an indie, that is fantastic. Yeah. That was great, and I guess you're used to now competing in those sizes of crowds, because MLW is pulling in those kind of numbers at Philly, right?
Yeah, I believe we sell out about every time we go. The last 2 times we went, we sold out.
Amazing. And it's just been so much fun watching you. I mean, I know you're a nice guy unless someone gives you a reason not to be. And I would not want to be on the opposite side of the ring from you, because you are just tossing people left and right. The Suplex Assassin, you really live up to the moniker. I know you've heard some comparisons to Taz. I'm not sure if Taz has taken notice yet, but we're still on a collective mission.
Yeah,
that Taz needs to acknowledge you, that like you're carrying the torch of being the master of the suplex now. So you've also been involved with American Top Team. And I mean, I believe the many host actually has a question regarding your involvement with American Top Team.
I do, actually. I do. So, why have you joined American Top Team? You're impressive on your own. I think you don't need King Mo.
Well, Dan Lambert negotiated my contract, so he essentially got me signed with MLW. So that's why I'm with American Top Team. And then also having King Mo is kind of like having that like really cool uncle that I've never had. So, and like he's always giving me pointers, new ways to do things, new ways to get into things. So there is definitely it definitely enhances my game having King Mo there.
I can appreciate that.
Yeah,
because you've got some addition. You also got somebody who's got your back in case of something going down, like say somebody were to sneakily attack you. Now I know we've had some discussion, or you've had some discussions with Clavin Tankman. There's been some friction. You've been trying to recruit Clavin Tankman to the cause. Clavin has been resistant, and it culminated on Fusion this week with an altercation. So, many hosts, how did you feel about that altercation on Fusion this week?
Okay, so attacking Calvin was a chance to take his spot in the Opera Cup. As you're an alternate, don't you think there will be payback?
Uh, I mean, there may be payback. It will be. I mean, though Calvin's a beast, he's a very large individual. It's not going to be in the best of his best interest to retaliate. We told him that he needs to do the right thing. He decided not to because he feels like he doesn't need us, but he definitely does. And we just had to give him a little taste of why he needs us because it's better for him to be on our side than be our enemy.
Okay, yeah.
I can't argue with that either. I mean, Clavin Tankman's a tremendous talent. There's no doubt about it. But the combined forces of Clavin Tankman and Alex Kane and King Mo would truly be a force to be reckoned with in MLW. And it would now put you in a position where you have someone on your side where if the Contras of the world or any of the other number of factions were to want to be a little violent with you and maybe catch you unawares, you've got somebody who's got your back. So I personally think Clavin should really reconsider his decision. And I think you gave him a good maybe reminder of why he should.
A nice wake-up call.
Yeah, a wake-up call. Like that's not how I want to get woken up, but that's definitely, that'll wake you up.
Yeah.
I mean, we were trying to figure out what you may or may not have had something we couldn't really see, but it looked like something that was possibly pointy. Unconfirmed reports, but we know Clavin needed some medical attention after. So if Clavin is unable to compete, you will take his spot in the Opera Cup against TJP, I believe it would be.
Yes.
So how would you be feeling against facing a much smaller, but also a highly technically skilled opponent like TJP? Like he's very sneaky. He can weasel his way out of a lot of things. How would you approach that kind of matchup?
Well, having my wrestling background, my amateur wrestling background, I feel like I could fare pretty well getting around his technical abilities. And I would, as quickly as possible, try to definitely do some suplex damage to him to like really slow his roll, just so I could torch him a little bit.
Yeah, exactly. Put a little pain in the back. All of a sudden he's wobbly. He can't get around, and then that's it. It's TJP. 1, 2, 3, a suplex, and he's done.
Yep.
Right. Yep. And so that Opera Cup that's going on, what does that? I mean, I think the many host even kind of wants to ask about the Opera Cup.
Yeah, I do actually. Okay, so what does winning the Opera Cup mean to you?
To come in and win the Opera Cup this early, it would definitely be amazing. It would definitely put me up there with some of the best, like Tom Lawler or whatever. And winning the Opera Cup for Tom Lawler did wonders for his time in MLW. So to do that, to have that shot, I think it would be awesome. I think it'd definitely be awesome.
Well, even if it doesn't happen for you at the Opera Cup, there's no doubt there's big things in your future. Like I believe you're only 27.
No, just turned 28.
Just turned 28. Happy belated.
Thank you.
You've got lots of years ahead of you. You are really making waves. Like I no joke, I believe I've brought your name up probably a half dozen times this week, and not even related to the fact that we were going to have this conversation, because we were just talking about wrestlers and who's and I'm always pushing MLW because it's like a hidden gem of wrestling right now, and it really needs to not be. It really needs to be more mainstream. And I'm telling people, like, it's on YouTube, you got to check it out. But I've just been bringing you up because I'm like, you guys really got to watch Alex Kane. Like, this guy is so good. And I think you were wrestling for what, 2 years before you got signed?
Yeah, 2 years before I got signed. Yes, 2 years before I got signed.
That's unreal. I know guys who've been on the indies for 10 years and they're still trying to get signed. So unquestionable, you've got a lot of talent. And I don't like asking people, where do you think you're going to go? Because I'm more of a, let's just watch and enjoy the ride kind of thing. But, there's always a craving for gold with professional wrestlers. So, if you're looking at gold right now, are you looking more towards Alexander Hammerstone and the world title, or are you looking more towards the open weight title?
Well, actually, War Chamber, I'm in a ladder match. It's me, Alex Shelley, Myron Reed, Zenshi, and some wild card. I don't know who this wild card's going to be, but it doesn't really matter. It's for the national openweight title, and I
Right.
plan on winning that match. And I may sit on the national openweight title for a little bit or whatever, just so Hammer can get acquainted with his championship. And as soon as I can, I'm gonna swoop in and take that from him.
Let him get comfortable. Let him get a little comfortable. Establish your dominance, just like Hammerstone did.
Mm-hmm.
He made it so that they couldn't ignore him anymore. He had to get that shot, and he got himself in the position where he did. Well, there's a lot of great wrestlers in that match. Personally, I'm a big fan of Zenshi, but I will definitely be cheering for you because I think you really deserve some gold. Yeah, many hosts, you're on board with that as well. Yeah, we're pretty team Alex Kane, and I mean George is more of a nice guy. Me, I like the badasses. You're a badass, and I think that's just kind of an extension of your own personality. Like you're a nice guy, but you're a badass.
I have a code, and I try to stick to that code. I'm not going to go out of my way to put my hands on somebody who doesn't need me to put my hands on them. But if you cross me, I'm gonna mess you up.
Hey, that's pretty reasonable, I think, right? You're not out looking for trouble, but if somebody starts it, you're there.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And that's something people need to be wary of when they're wrestling you, or even just talking to you, cutting a promo on you. Like if you're taking a risk when you do something like that.
Most definitely.
And I mean, we know you've been trained by AR Fox. Can you talk a little bit just about like your journey through the 2 years prior to getting signed with MLW?
I think my first year in the business, I mean, a lot of that was just like trying to like learn as much as I possibly can and try to like figure out like my own, like I've always known that I wanted to incorporate my amateur background in it. And also like my time in other like physical contact sports. But like I'm really thankful to have chosen the A4 as my training school, because Fox has literally wrestled everybody like on the independents, everybody that's on TV. And like he has just like so much knowledge, and like so to have that was definitely a blessing. And then also like a lot of people think that like Fox like only teaches us how to like wrestle like his style, whatever that is. Because Fox is kind of a hybrid. He can kind of do a little bit of everything. But Fox was adamant about like making sure that like I found the style that I wanted to wrestle. And he would always give me ideas. He'd always tell me to watch certain people, some people that he wrestled or whatever, just to pick up little things here and there. I think the second year I was in, like I started to really pick up like psychology, where to put things, how to do things. And then like the pandemic hit and like wrestling was shut down. And like in the back of my head, I was always like, when I start my wrestling career, something crazy is gonna happen. Like before I started, it's all in the back of my mind. Something crazy is gonna happen. And the pandemic hit. But like I think for a lot of people, it may have messed them up. But for me personally, it kind of like strapped a rocket to my back. And like I think that's really what like helped my ascension, because I didn't expect to be where I am as quickly as I've gotten here.
Yeah, and like I said, most wrestlers don't get there as quickly as you've gotten there. So you've put in the work. I mean, it's clear. You posted a picture not too long ago, and it was like I think it was 2 years prior or 3 years prior. And I was looking at your legs, and I go, how many squats did this man do in the last 2 years? Because his legs like doubled in size. Like it's unreal. And I really like that you talked about how AR Fox just has sometimes giving you guys that advice, because a lot of people maybe have the misunderstanding that wrestling is learning just the physical side of how to do things, and not all the other stuff that goes along with it. And sometimes it's knowing when to do things and when not to do things, and when to pause and when to not, and when to break somebody over your knee, and when not to, when to play possum, when all those little things that come in. So it's great to hear that you've had such quality mentorship in your journey?
Like Fox is a huge proponent of, and like I've heard like a lot of like of the uh I guess like veteran talent say like the moves don't matter, and to a grand extent, to an extent they don't. And like unless like your gimmick is like my whole character is centered around throwing people, but with people thinking that, oh, I got to do this really cool move, or I got to do this crazy spot or whatever, like those things aren't the things that stick out. It's those little things. The little things will take you way farther than doing the crazy spot or the big crazy move. Like can when you walk out on that stage, can you command the crowd to pay attention to you? Do you know who you are? Because a lot of guys don't know who they are. They just do moves, but they don't know who their character is. And I always tell like the younger guys at the A4, like those things come with time. But like one of the things that really stuck with me, Theory told me, Austin Theory, he told me, like I think it was like my second year or going into my second year, is when you're trying to put together your persona, you don't necessarily want to put together something that you think that everybody else is going to like or whatever, because people are fickle. You have to put together something that you like, that you can get into, and if you can get into that, you can translate that to everybody watching, and once you do that, you got them.
Exactly. That is brilliantly put.
Yeah.
And they always say the best characters are just basically an extension of yourself, because it comes naturally to you. And you can look at guys that have over the years, WWF days back in the day, that were just given absolutely ridiculously silly gimmicks, but they still got over with some of them.
Yep.
Because they bought into it and they were like, look at Goldust. Like at first when Goldust came out, I mean, I was a kid and I was a different person. I was like, what is going on here? But he got pitched an androgynous character and he was like, hell yeah, I'm going to run with it. And that's a great example of just buying into your character and getting it over. And when you're over with yourself, like you said, you get over with everybody else.
Yes.
So that's just amazing. And I mean, we're gonna flip back now to some questions from the many host, because she wanted to know about the War Chamber match that's going on with Team Contra and Team Hammerstone. I guess I can let her ask it. She can speak for herself, I suppose.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Yeah. Don't give me that teenage sass.
Okay. So, will you be watching the War Chamber match closely with Team Contra and with Team Hammerstone? Who do you see winning?
I'm gonna watch it closely because it's gonna be fun to watch both teams. I know both teams are gonna self-destruct at some point, and that's always fun to watch. Who do I think is gonna win? I think Contra might pull it out. I think they might pull it out. I think they're coming for blood at this point. With Hammer beating Fatu, they're definitely coming for blood. So they have a lot more, I guess, like riding on them. I mean, Hammer, EJ, Richard, they all have something to prove, but that might not be enough against a team that's out for blood.
Very, very interesting point. I didn't even think about it that way. And I mean, I just want to go back to something you were just talking about before, about how like it's not the move necessarily. And I think it's a great point, because you look at the Alexander Hammerstone victory at Fightland. Sorry, Fightland? No, which was the the Battle Royal where he
Battle Riot?
Battle Riot, thank you. Oh, sorry. Battle Riot, the last move that he hit Mads Kruger with before clotheslining him out was a back body drop.
Yep.
And I just remember sitting there going and like clapping, just going back body drop, clotheslined him over the ropes, back body drop. Nothing fancy. It wasn't the move that got everything over there. It was the emotion of finally Hammer got it kind of thing. So that's a great point, that it doesn't always have to be like a super flashy spot or something like that. It's the emotion that you've bought into that gets it over. I
think a lot of like young guys, they forget about the storytelling aspect. And like first coming in, like I didn't necessarily understand storytelling to the extent that I do now. But like, if you look back at the Attitude Era, was the wrestling great? No, it really wasn't, or whatever. The characters are over, and when I look at Triple H and The Rock and Michaels and Taker and all of them, even in Stone Cold also, like, they had 5 things that they did well. If you watch the match, they had 5 things that they did well. And they only really did those 5 things. They may bust something out every now and again, but those 5 things is what they did. They just found different transitions, different ways to tell a story to get into those things. And that's what I've kind of adopted. Yes, I know 100 suplexes, but I'm not going to use 100 suplexes every match. I'm going to, depending on the situation that I'm in that match, I'm gonna find one that fits that scenario. And like what I tell like a lot of younger guys is like, you don't have like, your move set this is not a video game. It's a video game, but not completely like a video game. You don't need this huge move set that you would have in a video game. You just need those 5 things. Those 5 things you do well, like, perfect those things, get those things over, and that'll take you farther than just doing stuff to do stuff because you get a pop off of it. I did a Jonathan Gresham seminar a few weeks ago.
He's amazing, isn't he?
He's amazing. I actually got to like mat wrestle with him a little bit. He's really, really good.
Amazing.
For not having like a amateur background or anything like that. But he said, and it really stuck with me, a pop is not a genuine reaction. And when you really think about it, it's not, because people will literally pop off of anything. But if you can get them invested in what you are doing, that's going to go a whole lot farther, because now they're invested in the match and they're invested within the characters within the match. And coming back to it, pro wrestling is storytelling. It's live. It's like a live action. It's like a live action movie or like a live action TV show.
It is. It is 100%.
So, like when you're watching Power Rangers, for instance, or whatever, like in every episode, they come in, I believe they get beat up or whatever, and then they morph, and then they get the comeback, and then
they get their shine.
They get their shine on. And then and I believe the monster ends up growing, or something happens, something crazy happens. And then the monster gets cuts them off, puts them in heat or whatever. And then they gotta like really band together for that comeback. And then they do like another cooler morphing sequence, but they end up getting into the Megazord. And the Megazord does the comeback, and then 9 times out of 10, the Power Rangers get the finish on the monster. But that's storytelling right there.
Absolutely.
I've actually never watched Power Rangers.
Oh, what? I'm gonna have beef with your dad over that.
You never seen the Power Rangers?
Okay. I think I saw the movie.
No, you gotta watch the show.
Come on.
Oh, you never even saw the whole Green Ranger situation.
Okay, I was more into, when I was like smaller, I was more into Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
There's storytelling there too.
All right, yeah, absolutely. And I mean that's something I kind of say.
Power Rangers though.
Yeah, you do.
Okay.
Like I took a long hiatus off of wrestling, and when I came back to it as more of like an adult and like being critical, and I would be watching everything with like a critical, analytical eye, and then I really realized, like, when did I enjoy wrestling the most? It was when I was a kid.
Yep.
And I would watch it because I didn't care about who's got beef in the back and who's got the I was invested in the storylines and the emotion and what was going on, and I didn't care about all the other stuff. It wasn't important. I just enjoyed watching wrestling. And then I started approaching it that way as an adult, being like, when I watch a movie, I suspend my belief. I get invested in what's going on. Like, when people say wrestling is fake, I go, well, movies are fake. It's scripted. There's a difference. You know, there might be some aspect of it that's scripted, but those guys are still out there doing those things, guys and girls and everyone else. That like I've taken a bump before. It hurts. It's not fun. You guys are out there putting yourselves on the line. So it's a totally unique form of art that I feel that there's really nothing like it. It's like theater, it's athletics, it's a soap opera, it's everything all kind of banded into one. That's one of the things I love about wrestling. There's nothing like it.
like I always I remember like as a kid, like I would argue with people all the time, oh, wrestling's this, wrestling's this. But like as an adult, when you really think about it, it's like the cat's been out of the bag for however long the cat's been out of the bag or whatever. People know what pro wrestling is at this point or whatever. We know that it's an art form. But it's lasted as long. And I feel like even now it's like it goes through periods of like
It
highs and
waves.
lows. It
Yeah.
waves. But like at the end of the day, people want to be entertained. That's it. Like people want to be entertained. Like I like from being in wrestling, like I kind of think like everything that we watch on television, sports wise, could possibly be a work. If you
A
really
lot of
think
it
about
is.
if you watching football, like sometimes like you watch the Super Bowl sometimes, and you got this team, they're cruising along, they're just going through every team, this, that, and the third, or whatever, and then they meet the team from the other conference, and then they all of a sudden forget how to play football or whatever, and they're just getting their tails whooped until the very end of the game or whatever, and sometimes they pull it out and sometimes they don't. And I feel like anything that can be done in a movie can be worked. It's a strange thing. It's a strange way to look at things, but I think it makes sense.
No, absolutely. And I totally understand what you're saying. Like it's something that people kind of sometimes look down on, but then when if they really take the time to look at it and realize what it is, they tend to gain more of an appreciation for it. And it's something, like I said, it's so unique. Like nobody else does what y'all do, right? And people like you are making it even more enjoyable to watch. And wrestling's coming back. It's hitting mainstream again.
Yeah, most def. And like I guess the biggest point that I try to hit with people is like I'm not going to go off and disrespect what you do for a living. I'm not going to go off and disrespect like what you enjoy. So when people are like, oh, but this is fake, I'm like, have you ever done it before? Like, if you've never done it before, like once you do it for the first time, you'll know just how real this is. Whether the outcomes are predetermined or not, none of that matters, because at the end of the day, you don't know the outcome of the match until it happens. You can guess and you can speculate, but you guess and speculate with football, basketball, baseball. You do that with all those other things. So just because you know that it's predetermined, like just like I said before, I think that some football games are predetermined. I think that some basketball games are predetermined, but you don't know the outcome until the outcome happens. So instead of disrespecting what we do, when how we put our bodies on the line, just enjoy what's going on, and get wrapped up into the stories.
Exactly.
And that's what it is. Just get wrapped up in the story. Like you watch Netflix, you watch Hulu, you watch these shows on here. These characters on these shows don't really hate each other. These stories and these like the people that playing the characters don't hate each other, but the characters do or whatever. And that's what professional wrestling is. It's the characters within. My bad. You said time.
Oh, is that the 10-minute warning?
Oh.
That's okay. We still got 10 minutes. All right. But you're absolutely right. And that's why now when I go to a show, as soon as I step through those doors, my own little thing with myself is like, all right, belief is now suspended. Whatever I'm watching, I know a lot of these guys personally, but I'm watching them. I'm investing in their characters. I'm investing in the match. Guy might be my friend, but I'm going to boo him because that's how I'm invested in the match right now. Like, and I think maybe more people need to approach wrestling, even fans. Sometimes we can get a little too critical and especially negative. And I don't buy into that anymore. You agree with me there, Cass? Yeah. Like why would I put something down? See, even if there's a wrestler like I'm not personally a fan of, I could spend my time putting that person down, or I could spend my time like building up the people that I do like yourself.
Yep.
Right. So why would I can expend negative energy or positive energy? Complain about something that doesn't change anything, or maybe get somebody a booking.
Yeah.
Why be that negative person, you know? And I think a lot of wrestling fans got to take that to heart, because we're too much sometimes.
You got a question, mini host?
Yeah. What is next for Top Team? Will you try to recruit any other members after Tankman not agreeing?
Definitely. I would really like to kind of create my own League of Assassins in a sense.
Ooh, like that name too.
Yeah, I really wish DC didn't already come up with it or I'd use it. But yeah, I would like to fill out the team with more shooters, maybe some boxers, maybe some more UFC fighters, maybe some more amateur wrestlers. Just like I want to have the most dominant team in MLW. Like I want to build a dynasty. I mean, no pun intended. But I would like to build something like a suplex dynasty at MLW.
Oh, I would love that.
When I think the first taping that we had, I pitched to have Tankman, which we tried to do, but he over here playing hardball. It would also be cool to have EJ and Duca on American Top Team or whatever. He's a former professional athlete.
Oh yeah,
a hell of a one too. So, I mean, hopefully Tankman comes around, but to have Tankman and EJ there would be top tier.
And I mean, I know there's recently been maybe some staffing changes at MLW, but we've also seen, unfortunately, a lot of potential releases or loss of exclusivity for the Ring of Honor people, like Jonathan Gresham, who is one of the best wrestlers in the world, in my opinion. It would be interesting to see if maybe any of those ROH releases might find their way to MLW and maybe find their way into the Alex Kane Top Team camp. We don't know.
I would love to have Jonathan Gresham. I really would. I would love to have Jonathan Gresham.
I know there's already rumors he's signed, but like if he hasn't court and you're listening to this, you put Jonathan Gresham in the ring with Alex Kane, with Davey Richards, with any number of people, it would be just an absolute banger. I can't say enough good things about Gresham. Cass, did you have any other questions?
Honestly, I think I'm all good.
You think you're all good? Yeah. Alex, I can't say how much I appreciate you joining us today. It's a pleasure to talk to you. You're a fantastic wrestler. I look forward so much to seeing what the future brings for you, because you're just going to be on a steady climb, my friend.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yes, you're amazing.
Thank you.
You got the seal of approval from the many hosts. So that we'll wrap it up for this episode of MLW Rewind. Alex, if they want to find you on the socials, where can they get you?
Twitter is Alex_Kane11. Instagram is the Suplex Assassin. My YouTube is Alex Kane. TikTok is the Suplex Assassin 1, and my merchandise is on ProWrestlingTees.com.
Which we got to get some of that happening, some merch over here.
Yes, you do.
And the many hosts, where can they find you?
On Instagram at the mini host, and if you would like to buy merch, it's at ProWrestlingTees.com.
Oh, look at this. Everybody's on Pro Wrestling Tees. Well, I'm Uncle Bobby B. You can find me on Instagram. There you go. You can find me at The Real Uncle Bobby B. You can find Cassie's merch at Pro Wrestling Tees. And don't forget, you're going to be listening to this through Straight Talk Wrestling. So you can find that on Instagram, YouTube, everywhere, Twitter, Straight Talk Wrestling. It's all over the place. It's a movement. Join the movement. Again, I'm Uncle Bobby B. Thanks so much. And this is MLW Rewind.